More and more, companies that use hazardous chemicals are turning to an approach called chemical safety management. Chemical safety management, also known as chemical process safety management or risk management planning, can help you identify potential risks at your site and establish an organized method for reducing those risks. It's not a formal procedure so much as a way of doing business, an integrated philosophy that considers your entire operation rather than just pieces of it. Chemical safety management involves everyone in your company, day in and day out. It's a continuous process. Most companies that deal with hazardous chemicals probably have many of the ingredients: emergency response plans, safety training, medical plan, and others. What's new about the chemical safety management approach is that it takes these existing measures, plus a few more, and integrates them into a coordinated system. Of course, it requires a strong commitment from top management. A good chemical safety program is more than just a stack of documents gathering dust on the shelf. It's a living, evolving, vital element of your business. You don't have to be a large chemical manufacturer to put a program like this into effect. Dry cleaners, small machine shops, automotive service, and anyone who uses hazardous chemicals can benefit from chemical safety management. The program can vary from company to company, but all programs have several basic principles in common. Taking an inventory of your hazardous materials. Reviewing your entire process, from piping and instrumentation to operational procedures. Conducting detailed studies to identify potential hazards, to assess the likelihood of accidents, to evaluate their potential consequences, and to address the serious problems first. Establishing and following a regular preventive maintenance program. Developing standard operating procedures and training programs for employees. Managing changes in the operation so that a change in one part of your process doesn't cause an accident somewhere else. Investigating and documenting accidents and near accidents. Developing emergency response plans for your company and coordinating them with local emergency planners. Sharing information with the local community. A key principle of chemical safety management is that all these steps have to be a part of your everyday operation, which means that the commitment to safety has to include everyone in the plant, starting at the top. And it has to be more than a paper tiger. Too often, information on chemical hazards is known only to the shop manager, or is locked away in a file drawer where no one ever sees it. Keeping the information just within the plant won't do that much for safety either. Certain information should be shared with the plant's neighbors in the surrounding community. In fact, your business should be aware of federal as well as some state laws that require specific information on hazardous chemicals and their risks to be made available to the public. From the risk management standpoint, you can be sure the public will want to see your plan after an accident. Good chemical safety and risk management requires that everyone be in on the plan, not just the company's safety manager. Most responsible companies have some type of worker safety program already in place. The safety plan isn't the same as making sure your staff understands and can handle chemical risks. And just because one part of your operation meets safety requirements, it doesn't mean your entire business or the surrounding community is safe. You might be storing a particular chemical safely, but running it through inadequate piping. Or you've bought a new plating tank, but haven't gotten around to training your workers in how to load it properly. A good safety and risk management program makes it impossible to overlook the way these things are interrelated, because the program looks at the whole picture, which means looking at your entire operations. Hazard analysis is identifying potential hazards and incidents that could occur, then developing information on what action to take if these occur. Because chemical safety management requires that you step back and take a thorough look at your entire business, it's an exercise that will serve any manager well. Instead of just reacting to every accident or near accident after it takes place, You learn to identify the early warning signs of potential mishaps and shutdowns so that you can take action before they occur. The result is a safer operation, greater efficiency, and increased productivity. Chemical safety management encompasses safe practices, product stewardship, informing the public, all these and more. It really means people in the business of handling hazardous chemicals, whether they use, store, process, or distribute them, are coming to recognize that safety is not at the bottom of their list of responsibilities, it's at the top. 1990 Clean Air Act Amendments. Chemical safety management is a good idea for any business that uses hazardous materials, and for many businesses it is no longer optional. The Clean Air Act amendments of 1990 require the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, and the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, to develop regulations for chemical safety management. Companies that have certain chemicals above specified threshold quantities will be required to develop a system to identify and evaluate hazards and to manage those hazards safely. The purpose of the requirements is to prevent accidental releases and mitigate any releases that do occur. Information that companies develop on their hazards is submitted to states and local emergency planners and is available to employees and to the public. There are 7 major federal environmental standards that affect chemical materials. Number 1, Clean Air Act, or CAA. This status established ambient air quality standard designed to achieve and maintain certain air quality conditions. 2, Clean Water Act, or CWA. This status includes a national policy to eliminate the discharges of pollutants into navigable waters and prohibit the discharge of harmful amounts of hazardous pollutants into these waters. Number 3, Toxic Substance Control Act, or TSCA. This status requires the development of information on health and safety effects associated with toxic chemicals and mixtures and procedures to prevent unreasonable risk of injury to human health and the environment from such chemicals. Number 4, Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, or RCRA. This status is designed to provide proper disposal of waste by establishing procedures for identifying and characterizing hazardous waste and developing standards applicable to waste generators and transporters, as well as owners and operators of hazardous waste treatment storage and disposal facilities. Number 5, Comprehensive Environmental Response Compensation and Liability Act, or CERCLA, was established to provide a mechanism for cleaning up abandoned hazardous waste sites. You may have heard the words Superfund program used to describe this status. Number 6, Hazardous and Solid Waste Amendments, or HAZWA. Modified RCRA procedures to include provision to protect human health and the environment from groundwater contamination. Number 7, Superfund Amendments and Reauthorization, or SARA, reissued and extended the CERCLA regulations and established new requirements for emergency planning and preparedness, community right-to-know reporting, and toxic chemical release reporting. There are many other laws and regulations that apply to hazardous materials. The most important part of your job is to know and understand the laws and regulations, as well as company policy and procedures related to hazardous materials, and to apply these procedures in your job. Let's review chemical safety risk management. The right attitude. Commitment from every single member of the company is essential to making chemical safety management work. Know your operation. Know the hazards of the materials you work with and of your equipment. Identify safety requirements and existing capabilities and weaknesses. Correct the problems and implement appropriate procedures and practices. Reduce your hazards. Find ways to make your operation safer. You could reduce your inventory of hazardous substances, find less hazardous substitutes, or change your processes. People are the key. Train your workforce in proper procedures and practices, develop task requirements for employees and contractors, and update training to keep up with changes. Take charge of change. Any change in one part of your operation may affect other parts. Plan accordingly. Protect yourself. Keep equipment in top shape. Inspect and maintain it faithfully. Conduct regular safety reviews, and have a working emergency action plan and appropriate emergency equipment available. Learn from mistakes. Investigate accidents and near accidents. Determine the causes, and make whatever changes are necessary to prevent them from happening again. Be a good citizen. Work with the community and with local emergency planning officials to reduce chemical risks. Managing chemicals safely is a continuing process. It's not a document on a shelf. It's an everyday part of running your business successfully. Chemical safety is really an attitude. If you want chemical safety, then it will happen. If you're not concerned or don't put an effort into the program, it will fade away. Accidents happen, but they are not necessarily inevitable. Accidents can be prevented, and if you take time for safety and chemical safety, your business and profits will increase. Guaranteed. Thank you.